Hey everybody, welcome to episode 28. Today I interviewed someone that I thought was really cool that he had one of these pieces of the Spectrum. It's the Spectrum S, and today I got to interview him. His name is Andrew. Hi, my name is Sharon and I'm here with Andrew and the Spectrum S, and I have a couple of questions for him today. So number one is, how did you get the S?
So when they were knocking down the Spectrum, they had a huge auction. You could buy anything. You could buy toilets from the Spectrum, pictures off the wall, you name it, it was on this website. And I'm a huge Grateful Dead fan. I wanted to see if they're auctioning the banner because they play the Spectrum more than anyone. So they weren't auctioning the banner, and I saw that they're auctioning the letters from the side of the building. I was like, you know what? Spectrum was the last arena that was like known as, not as a business. It was known as the Spectrum. So I wonder what someone's going to pay for the S. So I just put a bid on just to see what someone would pay for it. Get the email in a couple of weeks, and a couple of weeks went by, and I got an email that I won. So here we are.
How much did you pay for it?
After all of the fees, I think it was like $350.
I think that's not bad.
Nothing.
It's
yeah.
huge.
That's why I didn't think I was going to win it. I just put a bid on thinking that someone will tell me that they had the Spectrum S and this is what they paid, and now I have it.
Second question is, did you go to the Spectrum a lot growing up?
All the time. A lot of the people on here, at least from the music side, I saw at the Spectrum. And then, some of the newer flyers, obviously not the Broad Street Bullies I wasn't around for, but Ron Hextall, Eric Lindros. I mean, all of my hockey childhood memories are, those guys. So to meet them was super cool.
Did you have any favorite players?
Ron Hextall was my favorite hockey player of all time. Him, Eric Lindros, definitely my tops of like the Spectrum generation. Meeting both of them, like I said, was just Ron Hextall. I pretty much embarrassed myself. It was like I've met all these really like amazing people, but Ron Hextall just brought me back to being a little kid. And I was just like, Ron, will you sign my S? Like I couldn't even get words out to like talk to him. It was just a really cool moment.
What did Ed Snyder think when you signed the S?
He thought it was really cool. He was happy to see that someone was doing something to continue to preserve the memory of the Spectrum. He was really humble. He went to go sign it up here with all the other Broad Street Bullies, and I asked him if he would sign it real big in the middle, just take up a good amount of space in the middle, because I wanted to build the story around him. It all starts with Ed Snyder, and then when you look at the Spectrum S, it's the first signature you see, but then you see the whole Spectrum story around him.
Yeah. Pearl Jam helped close the Spectrum. I know the S is signed by Jeff Ament. What did he think about it?
He thought it was cool. It's actually signed by where did he sign? Jeff's over here. And then Mike McCready also signed it, the guitarist from Pearl Jam. I was actually at 3 of those last 4 Pearl Jam shows at the Spectrum. They're one of my favorite all-time bands. So, it was really cool meeting them. They thought that it was very cool. Mike, next to his signature, just wrote S really big because he was like, this is the biggest S I've ever seen. So it was really neat. Jeff thought that it was very cool, just preserving history. Pearl Jam's really big on history and, everything else related to music and just keeping, stories alive. So to see that, like, they're a part of something like this, they thought was really neat.
Let's see. A lot of the Broad Street Bullies are on this S. How did they feel about you keeping the history alive this way?
They thought it was cool too. I got a lot of them at the same event for the 40th anniversary of the Stanley Cups. Ed Snyder flew everyone home that was still alive from those teams, which really speaks to the leadership of Ed Snyder. He really just cared about his players. Even some more of the obscure ones, Bruce Kowick, I think, played just one game with the Broad Street Bullies in the Stanley Cup, but he was part of the team, so Ed Snyder flew him home. So it was set up in the executive suite, so when they walked in, each one of them signed it, and it was just cool talking to them, because what's special about the project is everyone you meet and everyone who signs it has a story about the Spectrum. So every single one of them had a different story, and every once in a while the stories would overlap, so you knew that they were true.
How did you get all of these signatures?
A lot of time, a lot of emails, a lot of time again. At first I had a friend who was working for the Flyers, so she helped me out getting the Broad Street Bullies. And then I reached out to the Sixers once I started the project, and they had me at a draft event where Dr. J signed it, Moses Malone, Bobby Jones, And then from there, I had a little bit of traction. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to start reaching out to the bands. Music was, I mean, it was known as America's showplace because of all the concerts that were at the Spectrum. So Fish was the first band to sign it. And then I just started reaching out to all the bands, tour managers, agents, anyone that I could see that was associated, just to tell them what I was trying to do to keep the memory of the Spectrum alive. And once I started getting names like Steven Tyler, Roger Daltrey, Greg Allman, John Oates, then when I wrote to these guys and their agents, they're like, all right, this is something, like we should really be a part of it. So then it just really started getting traction, and as you can see, it's starting to fill up pretty nice.
Yeah. Why are they in different colors?
So it's all color coded depending on who they were at the Spectrum. So all of the Flyers sign in orange, all the Sixers are in red, the bands all sign in gold. Green is the old WWF wrestlers. Purple for the Phantoms, gray for miscellaneous, some of the old boxers that played there, Billie Jean King, one of the Harlem Globetrotters who played there. So gray is kind of that catch-all color.
It is really big. Where do you keep like the S?
Down here. I'm actually working with someone to try and get a case made, because now that I have a son who's almost 2 years old, I'm very scared he's going to see everyone else drew on this and try to draw on it himself. So I'm going to get a case made just so that it's behind. But we just moved into this house not too long ago, so trying to figure out where the best final place for it is.
Is it really heavy?
No, it's not too bad. It's like, I don't know, maybe 60 pounds.
That's not too bad.
It's funny, when Eric Lindros signed it, he actually lifted it up for a picture. So I have a picture where Eric Lindros is sticking his head out of this area here, and I'm sticking my head out of there. It was one of the cooler experiences.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Who do you want to get signed next on here?
Next, see, everyone played at the Spectrum, so like the project never ends. Billy Joel, the Grateful Dead, from a music side, Bruce Springsteen obviously are some of the top targets. I have members of the E Street Band, hoping to get Bruce eventually. I want to get the rest of the '83 championship team for the Sixers. I have every living member of both Stanley Cup teams on here, so really focusing on the Sixers next.
What is one of your favorite signatures?
It's so tough because there's a lot, and so many, my first ever concert was The Who when I was like 13 or 14 years old. So like meeting Roger Daltrey was super special to me. Fish was the first band to sign, and I think I've seen Fish in concert like 40 times. So, getting to meet one of my favorite bands and having them be a part of a project that I've done.
Also, Ed Snyder right in there.
I mean, Ed Snyder, obviously. I mean, this wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Ed Snyder. Kiss was very cool because they were in all of their makeup when they signed it, so that was a pretty neat experience. But I don't know, each person on here I kind of have a neat story around, and what they meant to me too. So it's fun that I can bring it all together.
That is really cool. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you. This was really fun.
Okay, so we hope you liked that interview. Andrew was really nice.
Yeah.
I think you had a good time, right?
Yeah.
The Spectrum S is by far one of the coolest pieces of memorabilia out there. I have a lot of stuff, but this is one thing I am totally jealous of.
That you'll never have.
No.
This is something you can purchase.
Yeah. But I'm super happy he has it because obviously he, Spectrum meant a lot to him. He takes great care of it, and he had a great idea with it. So it's really cool that he's got that. The Spectrum was great. I mean, besides just the Flyers and the Sixers and the Wings and wrestling and all the concerts there. So unfortunately, you were too young for the Spectrum. Your big sister was there for Phantoms games. But I saw Kiss and Pearl Jam, and I mean, there's so many concerts and Flyers games and Dr. J, and it was just so much, such a great time. So we're very happy that Andrew had such a really cool project, and you enjoy getting to see it, right?
Yeah.
So we want to thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Maybe leave a comment with a Spectrum memory or something like that. And we will see you all next episode.
Bye.